Already in our second book, Reinventing Customer Engagement, published 6 years ago, we envisioned ecosystems as an overarching trend for the future of insurance. And this perspective is becoming more and more mainstream. In this talk show, Esther Prax, the program director of the InsurTech Hub Munich, will gather learnings by discussing with different game changers how to put ecosystem thinking into practice. How can insurers identify successful cross-industry partnerships? What is the next frontier for ecosystems? And how can insurers get there? So how can we leverage the power of cross-sector collaboration?
Okay, great. Thanks, Roger, for the great introduction. I'm very excited to talk today with a great panel, or rather a talk show, very different perspectives on ecosystems and cross-industry collaboration, something that's very dear to all of our hearts, especially also at the InsurTech Hub Munich. The way this is going to go, it's a bit of a talk show, so I will ask a couple of questions, we'll get all the stories out. If you want to add some points, feel free to add them in. And I'm going to start with Stefan, right next to me. You're from Vaudoise. Vaudoise is a smaller insurer. You're active only in Switzerland. And oftentimes it's said that smaller insurers are rather participants in the ecosystems than orchestrators. How do you see this? Is it a limitation or actually a benefit to be a small insurer?
Yes, thank you, Esther, for the question, and I'm honored to be here for a small Swiss insurance company with a non-life background, and we're active in that field. I think there's both. There's limitations, but there's also benefits. And on the limitation side, obviously, we're small. We don't have a lot of resources. I think we also have some IT capacity issues. So, for example, we teamed up with an insurtech on an MGA distributing homeowners insurance product through a Swiss retail company. On the benefits, I think we have the advantage to be small. So we're quick, we're agile. We have, in everyday business, we have white labeling solutions with, for example, Swiss Life. They're 10 times bigger than us, but we distribute non-life products through them. So we're agile and we are quite quick. So we can decide in a very short term to invest into a startup and to set something up, which maybe takes more time at bigger groups like Generali or so on. Now, ecosystem obviously is a tough one. I think internally we don't use that word quite often.
Okay.
I think it's not easy to build, and there's a big question on definition. So usually you go inside and they say, yes, let's do an ecosystem, and they think about our own distribution and our own, basically, ownership of the whole channel. But my definition of ecosystem is really an open platform where all participating partners have a benefit. It's a win-win situation for everyone, especially also for the customer. And I think that's tough culturally to install in an insurance company where you're basically driven by an own sales force. They think in their own products, commission and time they have to invest, and culturally not easy. But then we do that, yes, we build that, we help with startup investments to build our ecosystems. I think in the beginning it was a bit more varied. We had a couple of ecosystems we tried to go to, and we had more focus today. So we clearly do everything that is beyond insurance, which is easier. Insurance is tougher. We have a lot of voices, we have a lot of obstacles, we have a lot of headwind. And beyond insurance, we are quite active on PropTech, so real estate. And we have a lot of SME services, a couple of startup investments where we build up ideas. And I think being small and only in Switzerland, it also helps. You have to be open-minded. So we go outside. We are present here in Barcelona. That's maybe we are present twice as much as some of our Swiss competitors. But basically, we also imported ideas from abroad. We had one setup, a joint venture in crowd lending for SMEs, where we took a French joint venture partner, installed that in Switzerland, and now serving also our 50,000 SME clients with basically credit products. So yeah, we have different facilities and facets, but not easy to install the cultural thinking of ecosystem in a small, non-life driven traditional insurance company.
And what you said about it's not easy, but it's also that as a smaller insurer, you're faster, you're faster to action. It's not something that you say out of theory, right? It's something that you really experience. I'm referencing to your ecosystem around pet. So pets are supposed to be the new children, especially also for the younger generation, really seen as the new children. You've built an ecosystem for pet health, but really all the way to pet food. So can you tell us a bit more about it, and also why pet? Why Vaudoise and why pet?
Yes, it's I think a very exciting segment. In fact, we started to buy a pet insurer in 2016 under the brand of Animalia. We added on a top of acquisition of a pet and horse insurer last year. So now we are the clear leader of pet insurance in Switzerland, and it's a growing market. So we have a lower penetration than maybe the UK or the Scandinavian countries. So we believe the whole market will grow, and we have now, I think, a very nice market share. And it's the only spot where we are leader in the market. And I think that's important to build, or as a position to build an ecosystem. If you're basically a leader, you can really be an orchestrator, and you can add around services and partnerships. And that's what we did. And we also decided to add additional services and products to our existing clients. And we started to sell pet food. So you can buy pet food at Vaudoise since 2020. We added an online pet shop, so you can buy whatever, a dog leash and stuff like that online. And that's basically marketed to our own client base. And obviously we try to do more, but the current priority is more on the underwriting, standardization, digitalization of the whole basically setup, as we just acquired the second company. And we are active on these two brands and trying also to set up partnerships. By the way, we have a white label product with Generali Switzerland on the pet insurance product. And then that's the real priorities. And obviously you try to sell other products into such a nice clientele. I mean, someone insuring a dog or a cat is basically a good insurance customer. So we try to do cross-selling, and that's the tough part. And then the ecosystem is just sort of an add-on activity, and I think short-term not the priority, but we continue to build that, and we also, we like it.
I think what's interesting about this is, and you answered this a little bit with the reasoning of market leadership, but my question is, when you venture out to beyond insurance, there's a big question on why should customers trust you to be the provider? So why should Vaudoise sell me pet food or pet accessories? How do you manage to build that trust with the customer? Is it through the market leadership that you have in the segment? Is this also possible to do for other segments?
Yes, I mean, you have to be clear on that one. So we have no objective to be like the pet food leader in Switzerland. I mean, that's Nestle and so on. So we just want to add an additional product to our own, basically, customers to have higher retention and to add services and whatever. But to build trust, to make them buy our pet food, obviously takes time, it takes a lot of branding, it takes a lot of resources, and it takes patience. So you have to convince top management that it takes a couple of years before it works. It's trial and error. We had the beginning product we changed on the road, so we have another product now out because we feel that's the better one. Clients are more eager to buy this one. So it takes a lot of time. Trust is a tough one, and to install trust with another product is not easy. So it takes time, and we try to improve. And I think we give all these teams the time to prove their concept and to adapt and to get better. And hopefully one day it's going to work as it's planned. Yeah.
So also providing for a protected space to really try yourself out, to learn what works with the customers and what doesn't.
Yes, yeah.
Great. Stefan, thank you very much. I'm moving on to Danilo, from a smaller insurer only active in one country to a multinational insurer, Generali. I would say you probably take a bit of a different approach. So what are you working on in terms of ecosystems, and how do you decide the topics, and how do you also organize yourself within Generali?
Thanks, Esther. Yes, I mean, the fact that we are, large and multinational, obviously, it kind of forces us and gives us the opportunity to take different approaches. Very often what Generali does, especially at the beginning, is focused in one country or in one region, because we are a federated company, but also because we want to use it perhaps to to test it and then to possibly grow it in other parts of the groups, right? So when we're talking about ecosystems, for us ecosystem also is a lot of different things, honestly, no? And like Stefan said, maybe we don't even use the word so much, but then we do it, right? So in general, we kind of like to adopt a very pragmatic approach to innovation in this sense as well, right? So for us, ecosystem, it can be like a small thing to a big thing as well, right? It can be like being part of InsurTech Hub Munich, for example, is already being part of an ecosystem. And, we're a partner of a lot of other, accelerator and things out there. But sometimes that we like to kind of craft, build, or at least be the protagonist of some ecosystems ourselves, right? How do we do that? I mean, obviously we start often from, what are either the biggest issues that we see in terms of, of our customers or stakeholders, and how can we solve them with innovative solutions. And sometimes there, it's important to make it bigger and to involve a lot of other actors around it. Some other times, these even become strategic priorities of our strategic cycles, right? So then even there, we really want to make sure that we tackle in a more effective manner. There's a couple of ways also that we have found creating ecosystem to be very effective, and we have now two examples actually in the group that are very interesting. One is House of InsurTech Switzerland. Some colleagues are here, right? It's we call these jewels that we have in the group corp apps, corporates and startups coming together. Really, there it's about creating a physical place where we do work together a lot with startups, where we co-create, we build, and we try to find solutions to issues. Most of the time we do that actually without investing, because we think that there is a lot of value to be created just by crafting stuff together. Sometimes we invest, but it's more of an exception than the rule. The one in Switzerland, the House of InsurTech Switzerland, is a generalist corp app in the sense that they tackle a lot of different themes. They can work on a lot of strategic priorities, and they do it mainly for the German-speaking region in Europe, but sometimes taking also a bit of a group role. And then we have another one in France, which is very interesting because instead it has a specific vertical on health, mainly on digital health and personalized medicine. And it's also interesting because it's not only a Generali animal, it already started as a cooperation and a joint venture with 3 other corporates, Capgemini, Sanofi and Orange, so very big companies. We got together, we have 25% each with really the intent to create the most advanced digital health ecosystem in Europe. And it's really going very well, I have to say. It's a fantastic, we have 35 startups in there, but it can grow up to 100 because we have a beautiful place in the middle of Paris. And it's already, giving the group a lot of new perspectives and products and business models in health, which is a difficult one to tackle. So that one is really, really an interesting one.
So it's two things really. You're more exploratory also in terms of topics, but you really work with a wide variety of partners,
Absolutely.
Startups, other corporates, cross-industry, as we said.
Absolutely.
One ecosystem that you're building that you haven't mentioned now, it's something that surprised me in a conversation that we had, was the ecosystem around social impact insurance and providing basically an insurance for migrants. So maybe you can tell us a bit more about it, because I think also the players in this ecosystem are very, very special.
Yes, indeed. No, that one is a special one. It's one I'm really passionate about, because basically we started with the idea, we have already a very strong foundation called the Human Safety Net, but they are a foundation, so they do, let's say, traditional charity programs, right? When I came in as a group head of innovation, I started working with them a little bit, and then we kind of together came to the idea, why don't we try to expand our social impact by combining the needs of a large profit-driven insurance companies, right? That we need to kind of be financially sustainable somehow, with, however, going a little bit back to the original intent of insurance, the one of really being there for everybody, right, in times of needs, right? So basically the idea was like, let's open up a social innovation stream in where we build new business models, new ventures, really new ventures, so new legal entities that are businesses, so they have a P&L which has to be positive, has to break even at least, but whose primary purpose is the one of positive social impact on specific groups of people, right? So again, there, as we always do in innovation, we started small. We started with the first attempt in Germany now, which is called MigraSure. It's a venture that's really kind of trying to tackle the first issues that migrants and refugees come when they arrive in Germany, which is a lot of different things. And we started with one of the first problems they encounter, which is accommodation. So accommodation, they get it from the government at the beginning, but then after a while they need to find it themselves. They have issues mainly with the deposit that they need to give because either they don't have the money or landlords don't trust them. There's a bit of underlying prejudices there, and so we help them with a financial guarantee on their deposits. This gives them a leeway to start their life in Germany a little bit more relaxed. And we want to expand this platform now by including a lot of basic financial products, basic insurance products, everything that they will need to really to live comfortably like everybody else, right?
I have so many questions that I don't have time to ask, but one is important to me because what Stefan already says, in order to build an ecosystem, you need a protected space as well, you need time.
Yes.
What you're building, for example, with MicroInsure is also something where you said, yes, we need to break even, but it's not necessarily something that will drive profit, especially when you work with public institutions. So maybe for everybody to also get takeaways here, how do you convince leadership for this? It's sort of a long-term game,
yes,
right, that you're playing with this. How do you get buy-in for that?
Yeah, that's the tricky part, right? Definitely not easy. I think that the way it does worked relatively well so far is that you need to first of all show that you can build these business models that are at least again self-sufficient, and then you need to show them a long-term perspective in the sense of saying yes, maybe now with this exact venture we're not gonna increase the revenues of the company by 10%, but these are people that you are helping at the times of need, so they will become very sticky. They will be there. You were there for them in times of needs. Once they grow, they become wealthier and stuff. They will be they will probably think of you as someone who was there for them. So they will just stick with the company. They will then become customers of more profitable products, right? And it's a bit of a balancing act with working. This is really an ecosystem of startups, corporates, and public institutions, or international institutions. We're also working with the UNDP, for example. They cannot work for us in the sense that they cannot help us make profits, right? Yeah. So we really need to find an angle in which they do their job in the sense that they facilitate, for example, the access of these refugees to the ecosystem, and we play our part by offering these products that, as I said, they are built a little bit like microinsurance, right? So basically it's about bringing microinsurance from developing countries to developed countries, right? And these here technologies help a lot, right? Because the products are very efficient, they're very cost effective, and that's why we can also offer them in Europe.
No, great. From a kind of long-term game to a hyper-growth story, Rob, I'm moving on to you. In the last, I believe, 4 years, you've built one of the largest, or the world's largest tech-enabled insurance exchange with, I have to look up the number, close to 60 billion quoted on your platform, making you also one of the leading players in embedded insurance. So what's the secret sauce to your success here and to this hyper-growth in the past years?
So let me begin by helping everyone to better understand what Boltec is. So Boltec, we do two things. We are an embedded insurance provider, and we also run, as you said, a technology-enabled insurance exchange. We do these two things, and we do them on a global basis. So we today operate in North America, Europe, and in Asia. We're in 31 countries. And if I take these two capabilities that I just described and break them down for you, I'll help you to better understand why is this successful. So first, our insurance exchange. It works like a stock exchange. We connect buyers and sellers of insurance, and we do that in a very technology-enabled way. And I'll put this in context for you. In the last 12 months, we have quoted over $60 billion of premium on behalf of insurers on our platform. So I'll put this in a numeric context for you. We quote 28 homeowners insurance policies every minute of every day, 365 days a year. So that volume, that capability comes from a very important ecosystem. The ecosystem is a combination of insurance carriers like Generali as an example, who are willing to put their products onto the shelf of the insurance exchange to make their products available to a set of customers who come to Boltec in a B2B2C manner, which means that we don't deal directly by pursuing the customers one customer at a time.
Yeah.
The ecosystem is important to us because we work with distribution partners who have many, many, many customers. And so those customers are really owned by our ecosystem partner, and we bring capabilities to that ecosystem partner that help the ecosystem partner engage with their customers more frequently than they ever otherwise would. We help our ecosystem partner increase the amount of TAM, the total addressable market that they have access to. And also, we help them to create new revenue streams that they might not have otherwise seen. I'll use an example for you. In the United States, there is a real estate broker, which is how you buy and sell your home. And the real estate broker who has more agents than anyone in the country is a broker by the name of Keller Williams. They're not an insurer. They're not used to selling insurance products, but they are trusted by the consumer when the consumer buys their home. The consumer buys their home through the broker, and at the moment you're buying your home, we have the ability to provide you with the opportunity to buy your insurance. But when you're buying that insurance, you don't want us to decide who you will buy the insurance from. You want choice. And so we bring a choice model to the customers. And so we're matching a lot of customers through a business distribution partner. And it is 230 insurance carriers on the Boltec platform that makes this possible. So there are about 7,000 different ways that you can buy a product from Boltec. 7,000 different ways. It's a combination of geography, insurance carrier, and insurance product. But in order to make the ecosystem work, we have to be a good partner to the insurance carriers. Not just making this a competition on price, but making it a competition based off of their targeted market and off of their desired differentiating capabilities. And for our distribution partners, we want to bring to them more ways to engage with their customers, more ways to retain their customers.
And we've heard about pet, we've heard about SME, health, also social impact. And maybe you can give us a bit of pointers. You're active internationally. What is the sort of traction? What is the sort of markets that you see? What are the sort of ecosystems that are built the most? Maybe some examples worldwide.
Yes. So in Asia, our favorite go-to market partner is telcos and the OEMs. So we are Samsung's partner for Samsung Cares Plus. So when you get a Samsung product, you're protecting it. It feels like it's Samsung for you, but it's Boltec. And we're providing that protection through a manufacturer, just like we like to work through the telcos. And with the telcos, when you buy your phone, you get the opportunity to protect your phone. And everyone in this room has a phone. You probably have at least one phone, maybe two. And if anyone takes that from you, you want it back. And so this is something that absolutely needs to be protected. And we specialize in providing a lot of different tailor-made solutions for how is it protected. We can repair your phone if it's broken. We can replace it with a refurbished device if you prefer. We can replace it with a new device if you prefer. We can swap between Apple and Samsung or Samsung to Apple. We can help you upgrade from your Apple 10 to your Apple 13 if that's your preference. It doesn't matter to us. Our goal is to be able to provide that entire range of capabilities to that kind of partner. That same telco opportunity, that same OEM opportunity exists very significantly here in Europe We do this with the third largest number of telcos in all of Europe are getting their protection through Little Boltec in our 4-year-old journey, which began with a PowerPoint presentation saying we can do this, but today has emerged to where we do this for the third most telcos on this continent. In the United States, the recipe for success is a bit different because there we focus mostly on the insurance exchange, where people want higher price tag items, but they want choice for their protection.
Great, and I love the variety of examples. Now, same here, we're running out of time to go more in-depth, but the goal, I think, of this talk show is also to trigger the audience on the types of cross-industry ecosystems that are being built, and then to continue the discussion after. I'm going to move on and also challenge your thinking even more, because we're moving on to a completely different ecosystem yet again. Johan Univea is a 230-year-old cooperative insurer, and you recently turned into one of the main solar energy providers in the Netherlands. You're working very, very closely with farmers and build an entire ecosystem around this. So tell us a bit more about what you do there and also why.
Okay, so let me first, before I start the sunny story, go back 230 years old. Can you imagine? 230 years old, the French Revolution had not started yet, and our company was already founded by a couple of farmers. And they were organizing solidarity amongst each other. So today, that's still our purpose. We contribute to solidarity in the society. And we are the second largest agricultural insurer today. And the farmers are really facing major issues. And one of them is asbestosis in their roofs. So we have 80 million square meters of asbestos in roofs in the Netherlands. 75% comes from farmers. And it's an issue because they cannot insure them anymore. It's damaging to health and environment. So that's an issue, and it's going to become mandatory to replace those roofs. So we said, if you then start to think as an insurer, you would say, okay, well, that's their problem, let them solve it. But if you think in terms of solidarity, you would say, okay, how can we help? And the proposition and the moonshot we had was, let's become the biggest solar panel project in the Netherlands. So, and provide energy to, say, 700 to 1 million households. That is possible. So what we then did is, together with an electricity provider, a green choice, a green provider, and a Rabobank, because you need a lot of money, we set up the project, and a real win-win, where farmers, their roofs were replaced. They did not have to pay for it. The only thing that they had to do is sign a contract that a certain amount of the solar energy was provided to us. And we are now in the top 10 solar power energy providers, and it's very interesting because we're also, well, what can you do with this energy? So we're going to sell it to our customers, of course. The only issue we had, we wanted to launch last year, February. Everyone knows what happened at that time. So we could not really accelerate at that time, because that was also tricky for the energy provider. But we are now rapidly growing, and also the number of demands for projects is huge. So yeah, it's really cool to have become such a player in an ecosystem.
And how do you said the farmers don't have to pay, you want to sell back the energy. What's the business model behind, and what's your reasoning here? Like, is it only profit driven?
No, it's not profit driven. As a mutual insurance company, we only want to make a decent return on capital, but the rest goes back to our, what we call our shareholders, and our shareholders are our members / customers. So, so the interesting business model here is the farmers don't have to pay, and there is a solution for them. They can be insured so they can continue their business. We sell the energy at a lower price than traditional energy companies, so that's also a benefit. And the returns on this energy also we use to enlarge the amount of investment in future projects. So we actually don't like to talk about business models. It sounds like money. We have really a definition of how much will it contribute to society in terms of environmental or social sustainability.
That's great, and I love that those aspects are coming stronger and stronger. In our talk, when we prepared for today, you also mentioned how you connect this back from kind of the energy ecosystem that you're building back to a mobility ecosystem. So maybe you could elaborate a little bit of that, because I found that connection very, very interesting.
Yeah, so we have set up also from a social sustainability project. We said we want to contribute to less casualties in traffic. So we shaped a proposition, Save on the Road, so it's with tracking behavior in the car, but we wanted to make it also part of an ecosystem. And so we lined up with a mobility as a service provider. They offer a wide variety of services, so you can easily park your car, you can buy a train ticket in the app. That's what we did. So, but what we also now want to do is give back the energy for electrical cars, and at a lower price. So also here, there is a contribution to our members to stimulate them to drive electrical cars and to give back.
I love that, because it ventures out from one ecosystem to the next that you can then again build around it. A closing question, because I see the time ticking. How do you manage, or what can everybody take away on how you manage to stay innovative in this 230-year-old company?
Yeah, I started 2.5 years, and I was really doubting, how is this in a not-profit environment how will that work? And it's amazing. It's so innovative. I think we are really ahead in the Dutch market in a couple of areas. And why is it so innovative? Because we don't have to talk about double-digit growth, cost reductions all the time. That's also, that's a side always important, but most of the times we have discussion, what kind of company wants our grandchildren to do business with? That's the discussion. And then you start stretching yourself and say, okay, what do we want to do then and achieve in the coming years?
I love that as an ending statement as well, because there's different ways to view ecosystems. There's so many cross-industry ecosystems that are currently being built. Very, very great examples from small insurers, large insurers, cooperative insurers, insurtechs. So thank you very, very much for joining us here today, and thank you to the audience as well.